last 7 days, I have, of course, seen the pressure that the NHS is under. I've seen the personal courage, not just of the doctors and nurses, but of everyone, the cleaners, the cooks, the healthcare workers of every description, physios, radiographers, pharmacists, who've kept coming to work, kept putting themselves in harm's way, kept risking this deadly virus. It is thanks to that courage, that devotion, that duty, and that love that our NHS has been unbeatable.
Right? Again, I'm going to discuss the deaths, Boris. Let me tell you something, okay? The real reason, Boris, you're sitting there right now, my friend, is because these people valued your life more than they valued theirs. It's a sobering thought, isn't it, my friend? It's a sobering thought that there are people out there who, for years, we've heard you poke fun at them. We've heard you tell them to get out of your country. We've heard you tell them, yeah, we'll train our own nurses and replace them. We've heard you basically deal with them like they didn't exist, like they were swarming us, Boris. That's how you've handled these people. The reason you're sitting there alive today is because even though you haven't given them PPEs to look after themselves, even though they're screaming out television screens and their mobile video recorders, even though they're doing all of this to bring attention to this situation, my friend, you're still letting them down. You're alive today because they valued your life more than they valued theirs. And please, when you're back on your feet and healthy, don't forget that. Let's watch another clip, the rest of it now.
I want to pay my own thanks to the utterly brilliant doctors, leaders in their fields, men and women, but several of them for some reason called Nick, who took some crucial decisions a few days ago, for which I will be grateful for the rest of my life. I want to thank the many nurses, men and women, whose care has been so astonishing. I'm going to forget some names, so please forgive me, but I want to thank Poling and Shannon and Emily and Angel and Connie and Becky and Rachel and Nikki and Anne. And I hope they won't mind if I mention in particular 2 nurses who stood by my bedside for 48 hours when things could have gone either way. They're Jenny from New Zealand, Invercargill on the South Island to be exact, and Luis from Portugal near Porto. And the reason in the end my body did start to get enough oxygen was because for every second of the night, they were watching and they were thinking and they were caring and making the interventions I needed. So that is how I also know that across this country, 24 hours a day, for every second of every hour, there are hundreds of thousands of NHS staff who are acting with the same care and thought and precision as Jenny and Luis. That is why we will defeat this coronavirus and defeat it together. We will win because our NHS is the beating heart of this country. It is the best of this country. It is unconquerable. It is powered by love.
Had been through a life-changing experience. He had a near-death experience, as they call it, and you can tell, basically, my friends, that he's the first 2 names he called, right? Oh, sorry, not the first 2 names, but the 2 people who stood by him are people from a foreign country. Now, my friends, for the last 10 years, the Tories have been demonizing anybody not from over here. Some of you, my friends, have been demonizing them. You're swarmed. You know, you've vilified them. You've demonized them. You've complained about them. Not just Boris, but some of you guys as well. That's another topic. But while we're on this, I just want to remind you people, listen to the names he called, guys. Listen to the names he called. And many of those names are English only because the Prime Minister was in that bed. They probably brought in their senior nurses to look after this guy. If they brought in their rank and file nurses, about 70% of those names will be foreign. 75%. This is a moment not to forget for all of us. This is a moment none of us can forget. Please, my people, let's not forget this moment. Those of you who have lost people, those of you who think foreigners are evil, those of you who think the NHS, you Tory people that think the NHS should be privatized, the NHS should be this and that. Look at what's happening to a country without a universal healthcare. Pay attention to America. Next time you want to mess with the NHS, remember coronavirus in America, because it will teach you a really good story. This was powered by love. He's right. Listen, like I said, I've been a recruitment manager in the medical healthcare professional sector for a very long time. I personally can't do what those guys do. These guys go to work at 7 a.m. in the morning, leave their houses at 6. Some of them, they take the train from 5 to get to work for 7. They do 12-hour to 14-hour shifts, 15 hours. So the person who starts at 7 in the morning sometimes isn't finishing till 10 at night. Then they can have a 2-hour journey, some of them. I'm telling you, some of them do. I've recruited nurses who were taking a 55-minute train from London to Kettering, for example, because that's where it's paying the highest for the grief they got to put up with. Yes, they run this with love, but what I want to leave this topic by saying is this. Boris, we need you to start running our country with love. We need you to start running our country like the way you saw those NHS workers on the ground run our country. Sorry, our hospitals. We need you to pay attention to Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand that I've been banging on about. We need you to give her a phone call and congratulate her on the success that she's had and ask her if she has any advice for you. We need you to call Germany and ask Germany for help in getting PPEs across. We need you to call China and ask China for help. Their numbers are low now. They should have enough to sell to us. We need you to do what you can for those countries that were colonies of this country. Nigeria, Jamaica, Barbados, the Bahamas. Reach out to them and say to them, do you need help getting this equipment, these things? Then if they say yes, take their orders, add it to our order, which will then bulk up the order, and maybe then we'll get ahead of the EU, we'll get ahead of the US. They'll take our orders in, because at the moment we're Little Britain trying to stand alone and we are failing. Brexit, this is the first Brexit failure, my people. I tell you that now. Hopefully it succeeds, but this is the first true Brexit failure playing out in slow motion. That's the end of this part of the show. Now let me go into the crux of today's show. The topic of today's show, people, is the new order, not the new world order. I labeled it the new order on purpose because, yes, I describe what the new world order is basically the pecking order of the world. Today's topic is called the new order. My vision of how we should come out of this crisis. I believe we should come out of this crisis, my friends, in a way that, in a new order. And I think the new order should be the people first. Remember what Trump said? America first, America first, America first, on his inauguration day speech. I want every ruler of the world, when this comes out, when we come out the other side of it, when you make that first speech announcing that we are now past it. Don't make a speech when we're still not sure if it's over. I mean, when we're truly done. That speech that each of you are going to make at some point to say, people of my country, I am happy to announce that we're finally through the worst of it. I'm sorry we lost so many citizens of the world. Right now, guys, the world is nearly 2 million dead. Spanish flu took 50 million. So we're still a little way below. However, we're 2 million and there isn't an end yet. Is it impossible that we might get to 10 half of that. Anyway, when you make the speech, guys, rulers of the world, including you, Boris Johnson, and Donald Trump. I'm not even going to talk to Donald Trump because Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, his competition has just dropped out the race last week. So Joe Biden is going to be running against Donald Trump. If Donald Trump beats Joe Biden after his cock up on this, I will eat my glasses online. So my appeal is to Joe Biden, not to Donald Trump, because you're out of there. You're out of there, my friend. About time too. When you guys make your speeches to your citizens, I need you to say this to them. We want to thank you, the little people that we didn't understand, the people at the head of this situation. Okay? We want to thank you people, and because we have now seen the light, we now have a plan on moving forward in the world as one. And our plan is people first. People first. People first. Please. This is my wish for the other side of this tunnel. We, for so long, have neglected people, guys. You know? We've left, when we come out of this, I do not want to see homeless people anymore. Look at the money we pulled out the hat to get us out of this, to the packages, for the mortgage borrowers, for the renters, for 80% guarantee on income, for loans to self-employed. Look at the money. If we'd protested, if the whole country, 65 million people had marched on every street in this country, protesting that we should have no more homeless people, let's put money into it. Our government would have told us the money isn't there. People, they would have told us the money isn't there. But let's really think about it. In 2020, homeless rate has gone up from 2010, tripled to where now it's normal citizens, hotel owners, do-gooders, people with good heart who are taking the homeless off the streets because they got no water to wash their hands. Even in all of this planning, our government still didn't think of them. I don't want to see any more homeless people, right? I want us to recognize the real assets of our country, of our nation. The doctors, the nurses, the police officers, the firemen, the bus drivers, the carers. The carers to come to the top of the food chain now, okay? The train drivers, I don't know if I mentioned them already. The cleaners who protects us daily from contracting illnesses. Our cleaners, we don't even notice them when we go past them. I want this to be a nation that begins to notice the real assets of this country. We notice the bank, the stockbroker. We notice him in his big car, and then we got cleaner walk by us, and we some of you would even spit over there because you didn't see that person standing there because they just look like a nobody. People, I want the world to flip upside down. The stockbroker, you serve a purpose, of course. But guess what? You only serve a tiny, tiny minority of people. Majority of people do not need you. I can trade stocks myself. I can set up a stock account and trade stocks when I'm ready. Yeah, I'll still keep an eye on IPOs. Right? People don't need stockbrokers. We don't need you guys. Bankers, we need you guys, but bankers, this is the time to flip the script. In 2010, 2008, 2009, in the crisis, our money went to save all of you and keep you guys in a job. When this situation is over, I want you guys to now speak to the government and tell the government that you would like them to back loans for the lower income people. Government, I want you guys to speak to the banks and not pay attention to CCJs, because many of our carers have CCJs, but many of our stockbrokers don't. Okay? Many of our bin men have CCJs, but many of our doctors and bankers don't. Many of our politicians don't. So who is more likely to be rejected a loan? These are the people. Let me go through the list. Okay? Doctors, nurses, police officers, firemen, bus drivers, carers, train drivers, cleaners who protect us from infection, bin men, prison officers even have to include in that, truck drivers, shop assistants, we forget. Shop assistants. My God, how important were shop assistants? How important have they been in the 3 weeks of lockdown? How important have shop assistants been in the last 3 weeks? Soldiers. We always have love for soldiers because everyone knows that when you sign up to be a soldier, you're likely to not come home one day. So we've always had that respect for them. But I want them to be placed on that next level as well. Hospital porters, postmen. How important have postmen been, my people? Okay? Without these people, not one of us would have made it through this situation unscathed somehow, untraumatized in some way or another. Think about it. Think about it. If postmen were locked down, how many of you would have received something that you needed just to get you through this? So, you know, let me tell you something. We are all guilty of it. I am guilty of it. I was a recruiting professional, and I ran my own recruitment agency, both in Spain and over here. In Spain was of great success. Over here was of mediocre success. I couldn't tell you how many times I picked up the phone, and if they said they were a support worker, I couldn't wait to put the phone down quick enough. Do you know why? Because we're trained to recognize qualification. We're trained to recognize excellence. So when you pick up the phone and it's a nurse, excited because you know you can place them anywhere. People want them. When you pick up the phone and it's the lower level down, someone with an NVQ level 3, which is what you call a healthcare assistant, you're like, okay, I'll take your details out. I'll see what I might be able to find. You still respect them and you try and push them out there to see where you might be able to place them, but they're not your priority list. Support workers are even further down. I want to apologize to every support worker that didn't give the respect they deserve. I want all of us watching this video today, and whenever you get round to watching this, I want you to repeat to yourself, please, I will from today on try my best to recognize who the true assets of this world, of our worlds, whether you're in Japan, that's your world. If you're in the UK, that's your world. I will from this day forward try my best to recognize who the true assets of our world really are. If we wake up every day and say that to ourselves, Boris Johnson, you too, wake up every day, please, and say that to yourself. I would, from this day forward, try my best to recognize who the true assets of our world are. These guys need recognition. For too long, we only recognize education like excellence. For too long, we only recognize, wealth. So if you're a businessman, entrepreneur, someone who made it, you've got the T-shirt that shows it. You've got the watches that show it, like I did at one time. You have the houses that show it, which I also did at one time. When you get there, everyone recognizes you. We don't recognize the people that come to fix up our plumbing when the plumbing goes down. We don't recognize the people that we call when we're scared we might have started a fire at the barbecue, like I did one night, and the whole of my it's called an urbanization. It's like a gated community type of thing. So 41 houses. So the whole of the 41 houses were out laughing at us when all we needed to do was sweep the chimney. So it was after winter. And it was coming up to winter. So the first time we started the fireplace in that winter, and there was a lot of crackling through the chimney, and I thought my house was going to burn down, my huge house was going to burn down, and I called the fire brigade. We forget those people. We forget the people that we call when our cars break down. We forget the people that we call when we've been banned from driving. Taxi drivers, bus drivers, train drivers. We forget the people we call that get us to work every day when we're trying to save time for the quality of our lives. So we take the train to work because it's better to take the train so that we have a better quality of life. But we forget those train drivers. We forget the ticket collectors. We forget the people who sweep those train stations. Okay? I want us to remember them. I want to finish with this. I want to finish with something that I am proposing as of today, and I hope this builds up momentum. I want us to start recognizing education excellence and these types of things in the second place, not in first place. I want us to put instead in first place, and I'm dead serious about this, guys, and you can write me and contact me about your thoughts. I want us to put in first place human sacrifice. Those who sacrifice themselves the most should be at the top of the game. I want to put forward those who carry out their services without hesitation. Those who carry out their service with no questions asked. Those who give us their service when their very own lives can also be at risk. Those group of people, I want us as a country, as a world, to sit down, because I'm just sitting down here with a few notes I've put together for my show, saying what I think and how we should begin the conversation. What I need from the governments of the world and from all of us as a unit, as a one people, let's find a way to change the way that we recognize people, that we give people recognition or reward people. So why do we pay a carer who has to work and look after your grandmother, who when she passes away will leave money to you? Why do we pay her a minimum wage? You're not looking after her, so when you're the one she's leaving the money to, you're employing someone else at £8 an hour to look after your grandmother. Why don't we raise these types of people? If you get into one of these sectors of work, you will not earn no less than £15 an hour. If you're a support worker, you decide to be a support worker, you go in. Support workers are treated the way they're treated because basically you don't even have to have an NVQ level 3. NVQ level 3 takes you to a status of a HCA, healthcare assistant. A support worker can wake up today, be out of work, not go to school. As long as they got clean DBS and they haven't messed with people before, they can get a job as a support worker anywhere. However, support workers is the lowest of the healthcare profession. They're just that bit above the cleaners of the nursing homes or the cleaners of the hospitals. I want a support worker to earn no more than £15 an hour. The healthcare assistant who put in a year to get the NVQ level 3, I want them to be on £17 an hour just because they studied for that 1 year. Then a nurse who, after that NVQ level 3 level, has to study for 3 years to be a nurse. You see the 3 years she's put in above the HCA? She deserves to be earning between 17 and 21, 22 pounds starting wage minimum. And every year get an increment. Every year get an increment. Firemen, I hear they're on diabolical, stupid wages. Policemen, prison officers are worse. These are all human beings. I mean, I've had my disagreements with how police do things. I still do. However, this is about telling the truth. This is not about my personal likes or dislikes or who I like or don't like. This is about telling the truth as it is so you can hear the truth rather than my opinion. I'll tell you this is a suggestion, like I said, and let's all come together and find a way to flip the script when this is over. Okay? Now, this is what I'm proposing. Now, the Chinese have a system whereby they reward you for being a good citizen. Now, they have a system on their phones, and that's another conversation whether we will have that, but there's other ways we can do it. So if you're someone who was seen on CCTV, because of facial recognition, throw your cigarette on the floor and screenshot your packet of cigarette and throw it on the floor instead of a bin, they tick off that infringement on you. And it can affect you the next time you go get a loan. Oh, Mr. Spencer, on the 17th of January, you put your cigarette in the pond. You didn't take care of it. On the 23rd of February, we saw you have a drink with McDonald's cup that you left on the side. They reel these things off, and your rating, like your credit score rating, is dented when you're a bad citizen. What I want to introduce over here, and in the Western world, in the free world, okay, is something called Essential Job Score. Essential Job Score. Yeah? EJS. your EJS score, like your credit file report. I want us to introduce that. Let's introduce it for this group of people. Not just those, me, you, and everybody else. Let us scrap credit files today when everything opens back up. Let everybody's credit, bad history, whatever they've done, let it be wiped off. Everybody, whether you're a high-class businessman or a cleaner, everybody, let's start afresh with a new way of determining who we give credit to, who we help buy a house, who we help get security in their homes, who we help financially when they're in need, okay? The only way we can do this is to scrap the old system we had. So I am suggesting to the people of the world to ride with me on this. Let's start a new system called Essential Job Score, okay? And then we put that next side by side with a good citizenship score. And then your credit report comes in third. And then your job and your salary and what you earn comes in after that. Because if we have those two layers, then the world isn't going to be the same when we wake up, because it won't be the same people time and time again since the world started who only get credit, who only can get a mortgage, who only can do this, who only can do that, who only can do this and can do that. It's time we recognize those who really made a difference to us in this time, my people. I want to finish off by two things. Tomorrow I'm going to be tackling the actual, if you notice, I didn't give you any statistics because I wanted to keep this show was that important. I wanted to keep it fully, to give everything I wanted to give to it. But at the same time, I didn't want to make it too long. So tomorrow we're going to get back on statistics. I'm going to give you guys a number. But also tomorrow we're going to be, I want to be dealing with the domestic violence situation, guys, during lockdown. So stay tuned for my show tomorrow. It will be about the domestic violence situation. Now, one thing I want to say, my son asked me, my 9-year-old, he asked me, he said, Dad, this morning he said, Dad, how did the Spanish flu that killed over 50 million people, he said, how did it stop? I said, yeah, you're right, son. It killed over 50 million people because I educate him. I've got him interested at the age of 9, just like my dad did. So he can be as informed as I am when he gets to my age. I said to him, son, it stopped through herd immunity. It stopped through herd immunity, even though it might not have been called herd immunity. It stopped because it ran out of steam. It stopped because there wasn't. So imagine you live in a house. Take 10 of you in a house. It's infected 5. It's still got 5 more it can infect. So it can still go on for another 5 weeks until it infects the last person in that house. When it's infected all 10 people, it's got nowhere else to go. Remember, viruses, their whole job is to be alive, is to stay alive. So their whole job, just like we are put on this earth, some people say, to procreate. So we live a life, we create the next generation, we die, the next generation does the same thing, they die, and so on. Viruses' work is exactly the same. His job is to get inside you, make babies while it's inside you, send one of his babies out, as many of them out, to search more people like you, to do the same thing over and over and over again. When his jobs run out is when there's nobody in close proximity no more. So the answer I gave my son this morning was, it died. It finished its run down to herd immunity. There was nobody left. It was like a running train, a train without brakes that finally gets to the point that it's hit something, or a car with no brakes finally runs out of petrol and it has to stop. That's how the Spanish flu was. That's how it got stopped. We were nearly there, guys. Those of you still think that the intention was to lock you down, to put masks up. Thank your lucky stars. They didn't do with us in 2020 what happened to those in 1920, exactly 100 years ago. All right, guys, that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Listen, we really need you guys to subscribe. I want to give you one last bit of good news. On Sunday, the 12th, in less than a week, with 5.5 days, 6 days in, we reached our 1,000th view. So we got our first 1,000 viewers to this program, this show, whatever you want to call it, a blog. We reached that from the 6th of April when I started to the 12th of April, 6 days in, and we hit the first 1,000. We're now past that. I mean, our videos are getting watched. However, they're not going as viral and as quickly being spread as if I was sitting there telling you fake news that you guys have watched me over 1,000 times. Plus, I'm so humbled that all I keep getting is thumbs up. I've only had 2 or 3 of these. I'm guessing those are people that disagree with me. If you disagree with me and you feel to do that, that is your prerogative. However, if you've got an argument against what I'm saying, please get in touch. This is a friendly platform. We're not gonna argue. We're gonna share our opinions. I like to hear other people's opinions. Okay? So thank you for the support. Thank you for being there to watch my videos. One thing I would ask you to do is to raise the subscription and raise views. Raise the subscription, raise the views. That's the 2 main things, because the more views, the more people are hearing the truth out there. The more subscription, the more we're respected, and the higher the platform they put us up on, so that the truth can spread. This is all about the truth, guys. The full 100 is all about giving you facts and bringing the truth to you. So thanks again for watching TFH. Again, stay tuned tomorrow. We're discussing domestic violence during this crisis. It's diabolical, but we're going to start the show by discussing the statistics of the UK and the US, which is also getting diabolical. In the meantime, guys, please look after yourselves, stay safe and stay healthy, and I'll catch back up with you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye now.